Happy New Year. It is 2024, and this is the Voice of Camp Nathanael.
It's 2024?
It is.
Are you kidding me?
Well, we're recording this early, so it's not 2024, yet. But
I love this world that we live in. It's the world of podcasting is such a crazy thing, isn't it?
So this is Lee Sharp, and with me, I have a word for Stephen today.
Oh, no. New is not cool.
New is
too much too soon.
There's lots of new in the new year now.
There is.
We have the Meister, Never Miser, Ebenezer, Stephen Bell.
The Meister, Never Miser, Ebenezer. You know what? I like that. I like that a lot. Ebenezer is one of my favorite words, and we're actually that plays into a little bit here later.
That wraps
later
up
on.
our whole episode, basically.
It does. I'm excited about that. I am. We'll get to that more here in just a second. But yeah, you're listening to the Voice of Camp Nathanael, the first episode of 2024. Do you realize, I thought about this morning, that we are very close to the 1-year anniversary to where we started this format of this podcast.
We haven't discussed this yet. We need an anniversary episode.
We need a happy birthday episode or something like that. Yeah, we're going to do that later on, all right? Hey, listen, we are excited because it is a new year. We're talking about a lot of new stuff here at Camp Nathanael, and we're reminiscing on some old stuff, but in a new way. And one of the ways in which things are new, have been new for the past half of the year, is that we actually have if you want to call him new, we'll call him new, a new mission director. And we have him here with us today.
We have new in quotes there.
New in quotes.
Our audience can't see you doing the quotes there, but it's new in quote, new mission director.
New in quotes. He's been here for a while. He knows this place inside and out, and there's no person better to fill that role than him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Jeff McIntyre.
Guys, it's good to be here today, and I'm glad for the invite. Excited to talk about the ministry, what's been going on, and what we're looking forward to in the future.
How do you like that as an intro? Was that good?
I like it.
Hey, Jeff, for all of our listeners, we got a lot of people that listen to the Voice of Camp Nathanael. Very, very, camp is obviously very dear to their heart, and they want to know constantly things that are going on here. We're going to spend some time today on the Voice of Camp Nathanael talking about just kind of what the past year has looked like here at camp, I think we should start with kind of Jeff giving us the what's it been like for you, kind of stepping into the role as mission director? I mean, and that can really fill a whole episode. I know that, but
well, like anything, like you said, the good thing this is a ministry that I'm obviously passionate about. Me and my wife have been here for going on 34 years now. So it wasn't anything new. In God's providential wisdom, He's allowed me to serve in several different roles in the mission. And so I have a good understanding of how things work together and how things blend together in the ministry. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't a little bit of hesitation, realizing that the scope and the massive responsibility that comes with being mission director is more than what I knew I could handle on my own. And so in prayer and talking with Beth, obviously our outside board, talking with us about what that was going to look like, we decided that that was the next step that God had for us in our life and in our ministry. And I can just say, if I were to give a quick State of the Union, the state of Camp Nathanael right now is strong. We are so excited about what God is doing and excited to talk about it today.
I had to. It was playing through my head as soon as he said State of the Union. Well, man, hey, listen, I will go ahead and on record to say that I don't think there's anybody better to be in that role that you are right now, and I'm not saying that just because technically you're my boss. So
I appreciate that.
Right,
a lot of our campers know Jeff. I mean,
goodness,
you've been involved at camp ministry, all the different things for years now. So it's not unfamiliar. If you are familiar with camp, you are familiar.
If you're a camper, you probably don't even know him as Jeff. To be perfectly honest, Mr. Mack is our new camp director. So, or not camp director, but a mission director rather. Hey, let's kind of keep this going here because we've got a whole list of things that we want to talk about today.
And we ran through in coming up with this list here. We probably won't be able to hit everything in a whole lot of detail because there's just so many things that have happened this past year.
And we're trying to cram all of this into one episode.
And we're not doing this based on like what's most important or different things. Like this is mostly chronological
and some of this
and how they happened this year, but just looking back at what God has done.
That's right. And some of this stuff, I mean, honestly, we were talking about before we came on the air, you and I may know more about some of this stuff than even Jeff will. So this is just kind of a round table discussion about what God has done here in the past year. So let's, Jeff can really kind of give a lot of information here, but let's talk about everything that has happened in regards to flood recovery, because that has made this past year at camp very uncommon.
Sure. We've been dealing with really the ramifications of the flood of 2022, and really we're not quite finished with it yet. There are a few things that we're trying to reclaim, a couple things that we're trying to get fixed back. We really did spend most of our focus early on in our community. Many people know that we housed at some point in times over 30 people here on the grounds. We literally just got our last family out a month ago.
Wow.
So we're talking almost a year and a half.
When we say out, we mean like back in a home.
In a home.
No one's getting kicked out of camp. We made sure you were going back somewhere safe and warm and good.
That's right.
Exactly. So and we were committed to making sure that those people had a place to go to. So we are dealing with the ramifications of that flood still yet now. We are thankful for the people who gave to the flood relief fund. That fund is closing out. However, that doesn't mean that we still don't have needs. I just want to throw that out there to you. But God is faithful. He's using his people to meet those needs, and we're just trying to be as faithful and as good stewards as we possibly can in getting those things built back. Two big things on that, and I'll leave it with that, is we're looking at getting our bridge built back.
Swinging Bridge.
Everybody knows the Swinging Bridge is one of the nostalgic icons.
It's the icon, man.
Right, of Camp
it's
Nathanael.
like Mr. T's mohawk.
And it took a pretty good hit. And I've had an engineer come out and look at it, and we're getting estimates on that. And so that's one of the first things that we want to try to get done for sure by summertime, is have that bridge built back, ready to go and usable again, so that kids can appreciate that. And so that is one of the things that we're working on as far as the flood recovery. The other thing is, as most people know, we lost several buildings. Two of those buildings were iconic. Two of the brown cabins, both Birch and Sycamore, were lost, swept away. And so we need to replace that housing, and we decided to do that with a 2-apartment build on top of the old cistern, which was, some of you old campers might remember the craft barn. Way up on the hill. Well, that craft barn has been redesigned, and it is now going to serve as a two apartment place for housing that'll take the place of the 2 cabins we lost. Some people may say, well, isn't that kind of far away? It is kind of far away, but I will say this, it probably has one of the best views.
Oh, man.
It does.
Of any place on campus.
It's probably one of the highest buildings on campus.
Right.
And y'all built the porch off the back.
It's got the deck on it.
So you walk out onto that deck and you can just like look over camp.
It's not quite
nice.
It's not quite finished yet. We've got a little septic, a little bit of painting, a little bit of furnishing to do. Again, that's a need. Those things need to be bought and paid for. And so as God uses his people to bring in those funds, we will be faithful in getting that ready. And, of course, we want to have that ready by summer, too. So those are the two kind of overlaying projects of the flood.
Hey, I'll chime in here because we've got, like we said, a lot of other stuff to talk about. One of the areas of, and I consider this family ministry, not just youth ministry or children's ministry, but we have been really privileged over the past couple of seasons to host a Kickstart Soccer program here at Camp Nathanael. And this was a ministry that was started out of Hyman First Baptist Church, and then kind of brought that ministry here to camp in partnership, and now kind of we here at camp have kind of taken the reins of that. But what's really, really cool is we have had in the month of April and half of May, we have hundreds and I literally mean hundreds of families come into campus every Saturday to watch their kids play soccer, and it creates just a great opportunity for a lot of families. Even this past year, had never even been to camp before. Had heard of Camp Nathanael, but had never set foot on campus. And the amount of people that we get to talk to each year that's their first exposure to camp through something like soccer. It's just an incredible tool that, as a result of that, a lot of kids came to day camp for the first time ever. So this has already been kind of an invaluable resource for our summer camp and overnights and other kind of ministries there. And then what's really awesome about it is that each week during their practice times, the kids get to hear the gospel, and they get to hear they have their devotion time, their Bible lessons. We can even incorporate, some of the coaches have incorporated opportunities to get lessons into the hands of kids in order for them to earn a free week of camp. So the possibilities are endless, and we're seeing a lot of fruit from that.
Yeah, the ministry Kickstart was it was a no-brainer really to have camp partner with that. We've got the facilities. We're able to, with the fields that we can offer, with the it just made it was, like I said, it was really a no-brainer. And so, camp is just, we're grateful for the privilege to be able to open up the grounds and have the community come in, have their kids experience camp. Sometimes the reason why kids don't go to camp in the first place is it's the whole fear of the unknown. Just getting them on campus.
Oh yeah,
getting them acclimated to seeing the fields and the cabins. And if they've been going to camp every Saturday for 3 or 4 years playing soccer, when it comes time for them to go to camp, it's not a big step to say, "Oh yeah, that's something I'd love to do." So
right.
It makes sense. And we are honored. It's what we do. We are a community outreach. We're more than just a summer camp. So I think Kickstart's a perfect fit for us.
Let's talk about our women's ministry for a minute. We actually, this past year, had our first, and this is in the history of camp, the first overnight women's event. Is that true?
That was true. We did our first overnight women's retreat here, and it was a huge success. The ladies of our mission did a great job of planning it, enjoyed a great meal, had great speakers. The women came away encouraged. I was encouraged to see that many women come out. That ministry is actually now, because of the success of that weekend retreat, which we will do again next year, that has branched out into trying to start other women's groups in different counties that we operate in. And so that was followed up with we've had 2 of those already. We had one in Harlan County, and where we did a special women's day hosted by a church in Harlan County, where a lot of the women that came to that retreat invited their friends to the event in Harlan County to start a group of women that would meet, hopefully, ideally, on a regular basis there in Harlan County. And then we followed that up with another event in Letcher County, where we had a women's conference on a Saturday at one of the local churches in Letcher County to, again, do the same thing. Get a group of women who will unite together and know that there's women of like mind, like faith, who can encourage each other in their walk with the Lord.
And if you're a pastor listening to this and you think that sounds like, I want that for my church, contact us. By all means, we will help you get set up, getting conference things together, getting information, getting resources, all that sort of good. We want to help you get some of those groups started and get going with that.
Right. And the next one actually is in, we did Harlan County. There's one with Letcher County. And then this year is going to be, the emphasis is going to be Leslie County.
Leslie County.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're working on establishing those things in different counties. And this year it'll be Leslie County.
Here's a really cool story from this past year. Last April, every year in April, we host our married couples retreat.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw a shout out here, not just because I'm on the committee, but because these people, they really do a great job at this, and they're a lot of times unseen, and that's our marketing committee. And our marketing committee has really stepped things up here in the past year and a half really try to get the word out online because the world is moving so quickly in that direction, and so we're trying to get caught up, and we're doing a great job at that, I believe. But we actually, in regards to our married couples retreat last year, we had a lot of brand new people here who had never been here before, but we had one particular couple, and we're not going to give their name away or anything like that. But Jeff, you remember who I'm talking about?
I do.
Who just like 2 nights before the conference. 2 nights before the conference, and they gave testimony of this. They had been having some marital problems, and they were looking. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but they were looking for. They got online basically and did a Google search.
Did a Google search
for married retreats that were only at these 2 specific dates. All right, the last Friday and Saturday of April.
If you're curious about God's providence and
oh man, and because of the way that we had laid out the marketing and the SEO, and for those of you who understand what that means, that if not, no big deal. But how important that was that this one couple found that on a Google search, and they came and attended. They immediately registered and they came and attended for the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, and they just didn't come from a little ways away either. That was what was impressive to me is they had quite a road trip
from Georgia.
Yeah, almost all the way from Atlanta. So they had come all the way from Atlanta to be part of the retreat, and not to. I want you to know that one of the things that impressed them the most was not the fact that we were just having a retreat, but when they realized that they could have a weekend retreat for literally. We do charge for the retreat. Mm-hmm. That charge, I think, it's
$100.
$100. And when they saw a whole weekend couples retreat for $100, they had investigated these things because of their marriage, and they were looking at retreats that were in the $500,000 range, and they were like, "What is? How can this be?" And so curiosity, I think, got to them a little bit, but they came and. Had a great time. They expressed the fact that the weekend definitely ministered to them. They realized that there were things that they needed to work on. Now, let me just say this. The marriage couples retreat can help strengthen your marriage. Your marriage does not have to be on the ropes in order for you to come to the couples retreat. We want to encourage you in marriage. That's what we really want to do. And of course, if you think that this is going to be something that can strengthen your marriage, we want you to be there. But this is not a retreat or a conference that is geared towards only marriages that are.
That's right.
So I don't want people to get all. We want everybody and anybody who's married to be at that retreat.
That's right. And in the case of what we just had this past year, you had instances where you had couples coming who've been married for decades, strong marriages, and in the course of that weekend, they find themselves getting to minister to families who are going through different situations.
Yeah, it definitely was a great dynamic.
Yeah, it really was
in that weekend. So we want to make sure that everybody is aware that retreat exists. We did have some spots left that we could have filled, and now with that new housing being built, hopefully we'll have those things ready to go, and we'll be able to take more.
Good deal.
Yeah, and then following up after the married couples retreat, we had a newer ministry get started. I'm trying to think if we did anything before this past year, but we had men's ministry. We've already talked about women's ministry. Now we had some men's ministry, and that was some brand new stuff this year.
Brand new. I mean, a lot of new stuff happened in regards to men's ministry on campus this past year with great success, to be perfectly honest.
Had a couple of big events there. One of them where we just invited just men in the area, pastors, all the different people to come in and spend a day to throw axes,
friendly competitions, man,
and do men things,
and cornhole, and the competitions got pretty.
Listen, throwing axes is hard.
I think we all discovered that none of us can throw axes.
None of us.
And we ate lots of meat.
Oh, we did indeed.
So,
it was fantastic.
I apologize to our vegan fans out there, but we had lots of meat.
It is what it is, man. And listen, we've got you can check out all of these events we're talking about, and this is probably a good time to go ahead and do this. All of these events that we're talking about, just specifically, we're talking about the men's ministry. We did a father-son hike in September. We had 30 fathers and their sons show up, and we hiked through the trails here on campus at Camp Nathanael. Had an absolutely awesome time with those guys and
Beautiful
those kids.
weather.
Beautiful weather. Absolutely amazing. All of these events that we're talking about, and this is a really good time to throw this in there. You can find out about all of these events at campnathanael.org. That's our website. You can follow us on Facebook. Facebook, I can't remember the tag now. I should have made a note of that, but I'm doing all this off my head. Just search Camp Nathanael on Facebook, and make sure that if you're not following Camp on Facebook, that you're doing so. You can subscribe to this podcast so you know every single time we release a new episode, so that you can be informed on everything that's going on at camp, and especially because every time we do a podcast, we talk about what's coming up. We talk about the next event coming up and how you can register and how you can get plugged in.
Get involved.
So it's vital to your involvement in camp, and so that you can be able to invite other people. Hey, a dad and his son who wants to come to the father and son who would benefit from that. It's coming up. A couple that wants to benefit from married couples retreat. It's coming up. Women's ministry. All of these things. We talk about them all right here on the podcast.
And one of the things that we're trying to, I guess what we're trying to dispel a lot is the idea that people have always thought that Camp Nathanael is for kids in the summer. Period.
Not quite.
And hopefully, if anything that you get out of this podcast is you realize that Camp Nathanael has a desire to reach out to all different age groups, to all different types of people in our community. We want to minister to all. And so a lot of these activities that you hear about, you might have been like, what? You do what? And we're trying to do a lot better job. Hopefully the podcast will help with that. But we just want people to know that there is a lot that we put out there to encourage not just people, but more so the local church. We want the local church to take advantage and use what we do as a way to encourage their people. And so find out, figure it out, and get over here and take advantage of what we can offer, because we love to see people here.
And
engaged.
there's stuff going on constantly. I mean, we have a full calendar, and you can check all that out and get your churches involved. Come get involved as individuals. Man, there's so much that camp offers that a lot of people are just finding out about and getting plugged into. So we got some more stuff to talk about here. We're not done. We're not done.
The big one.
The big one?
We have a big one here.
Yeah, we do.
Summer camp.
Summer camp
was awesome.
It was awesome, man. It was good to be. I mean, we're talking full swing, man.
Right off the flood, we got everything back in order to be able to put on a great summer of camp. As always, there's a different dynamic when you've got 70, 80 kids running around the campground in summer, and it's one of my favorite times of year, of course. We got to see God work again. I mean, camp it's an opportunity. There's a lot of things that camp offers kids. For some kids, it's an escape. I'll just be honest with you. For a lot of kids in our area, it's an escape. But we want to make sure that escape is lined well with the truth of God's word. Obviously, they have an opportunity to hear the gospel, and that is first and foremost and always will be with this ministry. But we also have an opportunity to encourage kids in their faith. We get to, coming off from the flood, there's still a lot of kids who are dealing with issues and questions and wondering why. And so, God's put us in a spot to be able to minister to those kids and be able to encourage them. And not only, in learning the scripture. Obviously, Scripture Memory Mountain Mission is our name of our mission. And we're keeping that first and foremost in our camp. Kids get a chance to memorize verses. They get a chance to be encouraged in their walk with the Lord. They get a chance to just get away from their electronics for a week, which I know makes people sometimes shake and shudder when they think about it. But usually kids...
I can survive without this?
After about day 1.5 or 2, kids are actually like, you know what? I can make it. This is not a bad thing. And there is something to be said to be just still before the Lord and allow Him to speak and to hear Him. And I think camp offers that in a great way. And that's just, of course, I emphasized a lot of the spiritual things. That's wrapped up in activities. That's wrapped up in fun. It's a combination of faith and fun, and we love it. We're excited about it, and we're thankful for those that back camp because, as always, the majority of campers that we get are doing their lessons and coming for free. And so that is something that gets backed by our donors, and we're thankful for that, and we want to keep continuing that. And so we want to take time right now and just thank those people who specifically give to the general fund for camp, because it is one of our, as Lee said, it's one of the big ones. It's one of our big three ministries that I call it. Listen,
I'm coming from 20 years of youth ministry experience, and knowing how much it costs for a youth pastor to take his kids to camp, over the summer. And listen, what camp offers is unheard of anywhere else in the world, I believe. And the quality of programming and what we do here in regards to the preaching, the activities, the food, everything that encompasses that, you are not going to find this anywhere else in regards to ministry. And man, I'm thankful to be part of it. And God has blessed it richly in almost a century.
So I got to throw the plug to our listeners here.
Yep.
So if that sounds like something that summer feels like it's forever away right now because we're right here at the beginning of the year.
People are already doing lessons,
but man. if you've got kids, if you've got grandkids, and maybe you came to camp and you want them to experience that same thing, and you want them to work on those lessons to get that free week of camp, contact us. Let us know. Get it. Call the office here. And send us an email, do something there, because we are more than happy to help get them set up.
Yeah, we want to make sure that they know that just because we might not be have a worker that's in contact with them, maybe their kids don't go to a county that has a Camp Nathanael worker in it. We do have mail-in options. We have a lady that's in charge of that.
Yep.
And so we can definitely take care of you if that's an interest of yours and you would like your child to do the lessons. There's a couple standards, couple benchmarks that they'll need to meet while doing those lessons. But if you feel they're capable of doing that, then we invite you to for sure get involved and get them involved in doing those lessons.
And by the way, you can actually go to campnathanael.org and you can request lessons right there. It's all online as well. So even if you, like Lee said, like they said, you can email, you can call us, or you can go straight online, request lessons, and somebody be in touch with you. Guys, we got a few more minutes here. We got a few more things to touch on. One of the big ones this past year that was back in full force since, not just since the flood, but really since COVID, and all that and everything that happened there was we were back full force to our outdoor ed program, which ended just a little over a month ago.
That's the second of the big three. I call the big three ministries, obviously summer camp, but outdoor ed is one of those as well. Huge output, huge outreach. The opportunity for us to open up the grounds for schools to be able to take a field trip here to learn about a specific themed event, which is biblically centered, which is key. It's what we do. And to see the participation from the schools and how happy they are, especially schools in this area. What a lot of people don't realize is that field trips are expensive. Schools have to budget and oftentimes have to raise their own money in order to go on field trips. And schools in our area, well, let's just face it, we live in a rural area. So a field trip usually means a 2-hour bus ride somewhere. That's gas, that's expense. Well, for us to be able to offer a field trip of the quality that we are able to do here at Camp Nathanael has just been a huge, and not only encouragement to the schools, but the fact that most of what we do is core content related to what they're teaching in the schools. Obviously, like I said, we come from a biblical perspective, but we're giving good information in those workshops of our outdoor ed program. And so teachers have been very, very favorable. They've complimented it. It's run very well. Of course, Rick and Kathy are they have done such a great job with our outdoor education program. The volunteers that we get to help do that program, which I have to mention that if you are I'm kind of classifying here, but it doesn't have to be this way. If you're a retired person, if you're a teacher, hey, we want you to be involved. Contact us about volunteering and being involved in that program. It's one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm. We had who did we have a few episodes ago? Was it
Judy and Mike?
Judy and Mike, yeah. So if you want to go back a few episodes and hear what it's like from a volunteer perspective, that you can hear it straight from the volunteers.
Absolutely.
Who've done that. This past year, I know that with Outdoor Ed, we had it was our Trees Are Terrific program. And so kids learned everything about trees, how they worked on the inside, how big they can grow, and
uses of wood.
The uses of wood, trees, leaves. They took a hike around camp and learned how to identify different trees that grow in our area here, which is a huge thing because just being able to get kids to, like we talked about getting away from electronics, being able to get them outside and being able to identify the trees and look at the leaves and the bark and how it grows. And we had a working sawmill running over there, showing them how trees are cut down and turned into logs so that we can build houses and bridges and everything else.
Yeah, man, it's been absolutely fantastic. Hey, here let's talk about a few more things here before we get ready to wrap this up. We want to talk about let's talk about fall overnights for a second because those were back because we had been doing Saturday events, but we were able to get back to some fall overnights. And then I want to hit on something that I want to make sure we make mention of too, and that's the Trails to Truth program and the new stuff that's going on there. And there's just so much stuff that we could continue to talk about, and then we'll kind of round this up talking about some brand new volunteers who we've had here in the past year. So let's real quick, let's hit on some fall overnights real quick.
Well, obviously it's another outreach that camp has traditionally tried to do, and really we've used this for a couple different reasons. One, we just think it's good for kids to get out of the house every once in a while, and so we offer them a weekend where they can come and hang out at camp, play games. Obviously, again, they're going to hear the gospel. We have speakers. You know, one of the things about our weekend overnights, and it's kind of a lost art, is some people don't think about it, is being able to sing. Kids, a lot of people think, oh, no, the kids don't sing it. Yes, they do. If you give them an opportunity and you allow them to hear music and sing songs, kids love to sing. And that's one of my favorite parts about the weekend, really, is to hear kids singing. But the point we're trying to make is we want to introduce them to camp. Maybe they've never been here before. It's a one-night kind of, I always looked at it as kind of a test drive, a one-night test drive. See if you like the atmosphere. See if you like what's going on. See if you like the food. See if you can hang out in the cabin. And if you can make it a night and you have a great time for that weekend, I just tell the kids summer camp is just a weekend on steroids. If you enjoyed that was just literally 24 hours here. We can give you 5 days of that with a lot more. Obviously, the overnight weekends, the pool's shut down. We don't get to ride the horses. We don't get to do a lot of those activities that we do in the summer. So I just say, listen, if you had fun that weekend, it's an opportunity for you to say, you know what, I need to get on my lessons. I need to invest in this because I will have an opportunity to really have a great week. And so we use that to promote camp a little bit, but really it's an opportunity for kids to get out of the house, fellowship with some of their friends. We always say, hey, if you come with a friend, we'll get you in a cabin with them and you'll be able to have a great experience on a weekend overnight. But it's a great opportunity for us to be able to, again, have that contact with those kids, with those families, let them know that we want to encourage them and give them an opportunity to let their hair down for a weekend, come over to camp, ride on a hay wagon, roast a marshmallow, all that kind of campy stuff. So great ministry, great outreach, and we do see a lot of kids come to a saving knowledge of Jesus during those weekends.
Absolutely. One of the newer programs that have come up through camp over the past couple of years has been the Trails to Truth program, the biblical horsemanship.
When you come into campus, and I've told people, when you drive into the front entrance of campus, you drive directly past our horse pasture there.
Yep.
And I like to tell people that those horses aren't just there to look pretty. You're not just supposed to pull into camp and go, oh, look at that lovely horse pasture over there. No, they are there to be ridden and taken care of. And we've got a program that helps kids learn how to do just that.
That's right. And it's not a new program as in 2023, but the new part of it is that they have actually just finished up a brand new riding arena over there that is, I mean, this thing is huge.
Yes.
And so that has enabled James and Hannah and Harley and those who are over that program to take that program really to the next level in training kids. And man, listen, they put the hours in. My daughter is part of it, and for the past, this is her third year being involved in it, and they're there every Tuesday and Thursday. And this is something that you can't just sign. You can't just show up on a Tuesday or Thursday and be involved. You got to register for it near the end of the summer. And again, you find all about that through the podcast, through the website, all that stuff. But man, God has really been faithful in growing that ministry, and we're seeing a lot of potential help come up, maybe even during summer staff and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that results from that.
Sure. The idea there of Trails to Truth is to be able to teach equine skills to kids who are interested. But the thing that really puts the frosting on the cake of that program is how James and Hannah have paralleled that with discipleship and brought in a Bible study program that lines itself up with all of the principles that they're teaching as far as horsemanship and how that can relate to the Christian life. And it's
pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing to see it when you understand it. And so you're right. They have done a fantastic job in leadership of that. That program is growing. That program, as it sits right now, we have been offering that program for free. That means that your child can not only learn horsemanship, learn how to ride, learn how to take care of those horses, but they also get some great biblical training right alongside of that. And I see that program blowing up.
Absolutely.
I think they've got about 11 or 12 kids enrolled right now. That's almost double what they had the first time
when they started. That's right.
And I can see that program probably doubling it again. I think as word gets out and kids realize, wait a minute, you mean I can go and ride a horse and learn this stuff? And yes, you can.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited for James and Hannah, Harley, all those that work in that program.
And finally, just to hit one last big thing that God has been doing at camp this year, we've had a lot of new people, a lot of new volunteers jump in. As Stephen was saying just a few seconds ago when we were figuring out what we were going to talk about today, a lot of new volunteers came in because of flood recovery.
Right. Sometimes
in the middle of tragedy, yeah.
Sometimes tragedy grows very encouraging things, relationships. You meet people that you never otherwise would have met. You cross paths with people you never otherwise would have crossed.
That's right.
And that has happened on several fronts. I mean, we could do a whole nother podcast on this, but just a couple that I'd like to mention. One of the couples that came from a disaster relief group all the way from Missouri. He's an electrician, retired, and he came to help. And since that time that he was here back in the fall, or I think it would have been in December a year ago.
So within a year,
he's been back on campus at least a half dozen other times.
That
has done literally. I mean, literally thousands of dollars of work electrically for us that we've wired in a new 3-phase generator down at the dining room. Yeah. He has wired all of the new construction that we've done as far as rebuild. He's put in new lights for our basketball court. He's wired in. I mean, it's
prep for future ministry.
This
isn't just like, we wanted to put some lights up to look nice.
And the cool thing is, it's just not him and his wife have Camp Nathanael has carved a spot out in their hearts.
Oh yeah.
And they have been very open about how special this place has become to them. It's not so much of what they're doing for us. It's almost they need a Camp Nathanael fix now.
They do.
They need to get back here, and they love this place, and God has put a place, like I said, has carved a place out in their heart for this place. And so that's just one example. There are many, many different people who've been introduced to Camp Nathanael because of the tragedy of the flood. And we're hoping that those partnerships and those relationships continue to grow. And they've been special people. and we're excited about it. And you just never know how God's going to network relationships with other people and what He's going to use. And so we're excited about that. We're thankful for that, and we're thankful for those volunteers and those people who are contributing to our ministry and partnering with us.
Well, guys, listen, we're going to bring this one to a close. This isn't the last we're going to have with Jeff. We're actually going to continue the conversation with Jeff as we talk about some more stuff on the next episode on the 15th. So be sure to tune into that. But as we're taking this one out, being that it is the first episode of a brand new year, there's a poem written by John Newton. Now, a lot of people know the name John Newton because he wrote Amazing Grace, but he wrote more stuff than Amazing Grace, believe it or not. He wrote a poem called Ebenezer, and I love the word Ebenezer. And I know what everybody thinks of. You think of it
full circle here. We talked about Ebenezer at the beginning.
Bringing it full circle. That's right. A lot of people think, well, what does an old grumpy guy at Christmas have to do with the new year? Well, it has nothing to do with Ebenezer Scrooge. First of all, the word Ebenezer we get biblically when Samuel set up the stone after the Ark of the Covenant had returned to Israel, and he set up the stone. He called it Ebenezer, saying, thus far, the Lord has helped us. All right, so that's what the name means. It means...
Since we're Scripture Memory Mountain Mission, if you're looking for the reference, it is in 1 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 12.
So there we go. And then we sing a very familiar hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, where the second verse says, Here I raise mine Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come. So again, it's reiterating the fact that right now in 2024, January 1st, 2024, 93, almost 94 years into this mission's history, God has helped us, and He will continue to do so. And so I'd like to end this episode out. I know we're probably a little bit over time, but hey, it's been a great discussion. It's been needed. But I want to end this out. You can Google search John Newton's Ebenezer poem, and there's like 5 stanzas to this. I'm only going to read the first and last stanza, okay? Right. And let everybody kind of Google search and go from there. But it says this: The Lord, our salvation and light, the guide of our strength and our days, has brought us together tonight, a new Ebenezer to raise. The year we have now passed through, His goodness with blessings has crowned. Each morning His mercies were new, then let our thanksgivings abound. That's the first stanza, all right? Here's the last verse. To Jesus, who sits on the throne, our best hallelujahs we bring. To Thee it is owing alone that we are permitted to sing. Assist us, we pray, to lament the sins of the year that is past, and grant that the next may be spent far more to Thy praise than the last. That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Very good, guys.
Well, guys, listen, thanks for joining us. We're going to get out of here, and we will be back on the 15th to continue our conversation with the new mission director, Jeff McIntyre, Mr. Mac.
Mr. Mac. So, guys, Happy New Year. We hope you're having an awesome day, and we'll be back with you on the 15th.
All right. Have a great week, guys.